Alrighty then, let's get to question number 5, which is the question of free will. Okay, we're going to look at the free will argument. We're also going to look at if it's realistic that we have free will. And if God is all-knowing, all-powerful, and knows everything, how do we still have free will? And that's a good question. So, like I said previously, I do want to cover this question in a separate episode because it requires a more detailed, longer format. But let me give you a couple of examples and an answer, a brief answer to this question. So suppose you like watching AFL, okay? Here in Australia, Australian Football League is big. And a game is on every Saturday at 7 p.m. But one Saturday, you're away. You're working the whole day. So you decide to record the game that you want to watch. Now, as you're coming home, your friend gives you a call and tells you, mate, these are the scores. And you're like, I didn't want to know the scores. Now I know them. What am I going to do? But you can't do anything about it now. You know the scores. So you get home and you decide to watch that game that you recorded. Now you already know what the score is going to be. Does that mean the players on the field don't have free will because you know the final result? No. They are still freely doing what they are doing on the field. They are still freely choosing the strategy they're using to play the game. And yes, they've already done it, but there's still free will in how they play the game. Now understand this, God is outside of time. So in his perspective, everything has already happened. Alright? Even though it hasn't on our perspective because we are constrained by time, we are within time, he is outside of time. And therefore, time does not constrict him. So God knows the end from the beginning because time does not contain him. But this does not mean that he is causing, if we go back to that example of AFL, he's not causing the players to play as they do. We still have free will at the end of the day. Let's look at it this way. When God created me, he knew that I would be a Christian. When God created, say, Richard Dawkins, he knew that Richard Dawkins would be an atheist. But nonetheless, I freely chose to be a believer, and Richard Dawkins freely chose to be an atheist. And we have to remember this. God is also just. Just because he knows what will happen doesn't mean he caused it or he overrides our free will, because he wants us to have free will, because it's only by free will can we love, obey, and cherish God. So that is my answer to free will. And it's such an interesting topic. And I feel like I said, it needs to be covered in a longer, more detailed episode. But I hope that answers, at least on the surface level, the question that you're asking. And again, please don't hesitate to comment and ask me questions, because I would love to give you clarity on the evidence that supports this. And I believe that you will learn so much. And like I say, every episode, I hope you enjoyed this topic and have enjoyed this Q&A question. Have an amazing week, and remember that God loves you. Tune in tomorrow for another Q&A Shorts. Stay safe and be blessed.